When we choose NT as our operating system, then we have a choice of file systems. We can choose the FAT16 file system, which is also used by DOS, Windows 3X, and Windows 9X operating systems. Or we could choose the Windows NT file system, NTFS, which was specifically developed for NT. The Windows NT file system, NTFS, is also used, by the way, in Windows 2000 operating systems. But NT does not support FAT32, which is another file system that Windows 95 version B and Windows 98 and Windows Millennium editions can use. So we have a choice with Windows NT between FAT16 and NTFS. Let's look at the advantages and disadvantages of each. The FAT16 file system is used by Windows 9X and its predecessors. In other words, all operating systems starting at DOS can use the FAT16 file system. It manages data on a logical drive using a boot record, a file allocation table, directories, and data files. So advantages of FAT16 over NTFS are that it uses less overhead, it is backward compatible with DOS, with Windows 3.1, and all the Windows 9X family, and we can also boot a PC from a disk to gain access to the drive. So we can use a Windows 98 startup disk, for example, which is formatted in FAT16. But NTFS offers advantages as well. The Windows NT file system, NTFS, works only with Windows NT and uses a database called a master file table. The advantages of NTFS over FAT16, though, are number one, recoverability, which means that it's a smarter file system. If there are corrupt sectors on a hard drive, and there is other space on the hard drive, NTFS will automatically move any files that are in the corrupt sectors to sectors that are not corrupt. So if we start having a problem with a hard drive, NTFS has some built-in recoverability features to help us not to lose data. Increased security. NTFS offers file-level security and local security that's not available through FAT16. It also supports mirroring drives. This is a process where we increase fault tolerance, especially on servers, by writing the same data twice to two different drives, so that if one drive fails, the other drive can take its place. NTFS also uses smaller cluster sizes. This is a more efficient way to use a hard drive so that we can put more data on the hard drive. And it also supports large volume drives. Again, we can use large drives and create large volumes on those drives, so that's a more efficient way to use our resources. So there's a trade-off. And sometimes, in order to take advantage of both sides, we need to dual boot a computer. If we dual boot, then we will create a partition both for a Windows 9X operating system as well as for a Windows NT operating system. However, since the Windows 9X operating system can see FAT16 only, we need to format the system partition in FAT16 rather than NTFS. That way the Windows 9X operating system will be able to see the system partition and will be able to boot. If that terminology seems a little funny, it is. The system partition contains the files that are required to boot the operating system in NT as well as in Windows 2000. and the boot partition contains the operating system files. Don't ask me why they did that, but just remember it, especially for a test. So NT is designed with certain goals in mind, and the architecture is put together for those goals. And we'll discuss the architecture of NT in our next section.